Finally, the United Africa Passport, also called the United States of Africa Passport, has been unveiled by President Ibrahim Traoré. In this video, we explore how powerful this passport is. Watch until the end. No one has ever seen a passport like this. It's not just a travel document. It's a symbol of power, a badge of dignity, and a ticket to a new world order. Backed by the gold, diamonds, cobalt, and oil of Africa, the newly launched United Africa Passport, also called the United States of Africa Passport, is now the most talked about document on the planet. From Wall Street to Pyongyang, this passport has shaken diplomatic tables and forced nations to rethink global alliances. And now it's official. Every country in the world, even North Korea, has accepted the United Africa Passport for visa-free entry. Let that sink in. Even North Korea, a nation known for extreme isolation and rigid visa policies, has opened its gates for Africans carrying this document. And it happened because of one unbelievable meeting between President Ibrahim Traoré and Kim Jong-un. But first, let's understand why this passport is unlike anything the world has ever seen. This is not just about traveling freely. It's about restoring the dignity of Black people everywhere. It's about unity, pride, and opportunity. And above all, it's about Africa finally taking its place on the global stage. Not as a begging continent, but as a superpower with borders, currency, and voice. The passport offers something no other document does: visa-free access to all African countries, automatic residency pathways across the continent, free movement for work, education, and trade, and now visa-free access to the rest of the world, including China, Russia, India, Brazil, Indonesia, and shockingly, the United States. But the most unexpected chapter began in North Korea. The meeting between Traoré and Kim Jong-un was supposed to be secret. Instead, it became historic. The world didn't believe it when the news broke. North Korea accepts the United Africa Passport for visa-free entry. Many dismissed it as a rumor, a hoax. But then, North Korean state TV broadcast the footage. Kim Jong-un and Captain Ibrahim Traoré side by side, standing in front of the North Korean flag holding a dark green passport embossed with the golden emblem of United States of Africa. The world gasped. The footage showed Kim Jong-un wiping away tears. What could possibly make one of the world's most isolated and feared leaders cry? Here's what really happened. In a high-security hall deep within Pyongyang, Traoré sat face-to-face with Kim. No entourage, no diplomats, just two men. Both leaders of nations that have long been underestimated by the West. Traoré opened a brown folder and placed 3 items on the table: a photograph of Congolese children digging cobalt with bare hands, a satellite map of Africa's mineral wealth, and the first printed copy of the United Africa Passport. Then he said, "Our people have bled enough. Our lands have fed the world, yet we eat last. This passport is not just paper, it's justice." Kim didn't respond immediately. Traoré continued, "You know what it means to be isolated, sanctioned, punished? For defending sovereignty, Africa is in that struggle. But unlike the past, we're no longer divided. This passport is backed by Africa's wealth. Gold, uranium, diamonds, cobalt, oil will not beg for entry. We invite the world to recognize our unity." Kim stared at the passport. Then he asked one question. "Will Africans respect themselves enough to protect this document?" Traoré nodded. "This is not a passport for tourists. It is a passport for liberation. Every African who carries it will know the weight of history." That's when Kim broke down. He reportedly whispered, "I see now, you are not building a new Africa. You're waking up the world's sleeping giant." And with that, the deal was sealed. North Korea became the first Asian country to sign the global visa-free accord with the United States of Africa. Other countries previously hesitant immediately followed: Indonesia, Vietnam, Pakistan, even Cuba and Venezuela. And silently, even a few EU nations began discreet talks. But the move sparked backlash, too. The news spread that North Korea, Cuba, and several Asian and Latin American countries had officially accepted the United Africa Passport for visa-free travel. Something began to shift in international circles. Inside secret meetings at the European Union headquarters and U.S. State Department, diplomats were scrambling. One EU official caught off mic was heard saying, "This isn't just a passport. This is a message. They're shutting us out." Though no. Western government made public complaints at first. Internal memos leaked accusing President Ibrahim Traoré of building an exclusive race-based travel system, claiming it went against global inclusivity. Then came the headline in the London Herald, "Is the United Africa Passport racist?" It caused outrage across Africa and the Caribbean. Online, Africans from Ghana to Jamaica responded furiously. Where were these same critics when Africans needed visas for every country? Now that we finally have something for us, it's a problem. But Traoré didn't remain silent. Standing in front of the Monument of African Unity in Ouagadougou, he delivered a short but fiery speech, streamed live across 42 countries. With his voice calm but firm, he said, "When Africans were enslaved, no one complained about exclusion. When we were denied visas, rejected at airports, humiliated, no one wrote editorials. Now, because we finally own something for ourselves, we are suddenly a threat." The crowd roared. This passport is not a weapon. It is a shield. It is protection for the African soul, the African dream. And let me be clear, it is not racist. It is revolutionary. The speech went viral in ours, over 300 million views across TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Even in cities like Paris, Washington, and Berlin, young black communities organized solidarity marches. At the heart of it all was a simple message. We are not begging for entry. We are building our own door. This time, it wasn't just Africa responding. African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Haitians, Trinidadians, people across the Caribbean posted videos proudly saying, "I am African. I claim my passport." Even some white and Asian allies stood in support, recognizing that this was more than travel, it was redemption. But the sudden popularity of the passport brought a new crisis. What started as a powerful symbol of African pride was now turning into a logistical nightmare. After President Ibrahim Traoré's viral speech defending the United Africa Passport, the world took notice, and so did the African people. From Atlanta to Accra, from Port-au-Prince to Cape Town, millions lined up virtually and physically to begin their applications. The Burkina Faso immigration servers crashed within hours of opening the portal. Some applicants waited 15 hours online only for the page to freeze just before submission. In less than 10 days, over 11 million applications had been submitted. From more than 62 countries, families flew in from Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia, and Jamaica. Thousands of African Americans booked urgent flights to Ouagadougou just to get in line, sleeping outside embassy gates with backpacks and printed documents. "I've never seen anything like it," said a passport officer in Ouagadougou there. "Our grandmothers here who sold everything to make this trip." The first United Africa passport had just been printed days ago. Now the system was being crushed under its own success. President Traoré had promised that the passport would only go to people who could prove African ancestry or cultural ties to the continent, but many applicants, especially from Caribbean nations and African American communities, did not have official birth records or family documents. Centuries of slavery and displacement had erased their paper trails. To make matters worse, rumors began to spread. False brokers started charging hundreds of dollars for fast-track approvals. Some even forged DNA results. Traoré had to act. On the night of August 28th, Traoré appeared live again. Dressed simply, he looked visibly tired, but resolute. "To all my brothers and sisters across the black world, I hear you. I see you. We built this passport for you. It's not just for Africans on the continent, but for the children stolen from her shores. But we must be careful. We must protect what we're building." He announced 3 urgent changes. Temporary suspension of all new applications for 21 days. DNA verification units to be set up in embassies across 25 cities. A new heritage claim form allowing people to explain their ancestral ties in writing. Or video if no documents exist. Your pain has a voice. Your identity matters. We will not deny you because your ancestors were denied. The announcement was met with mixed emotions. Some cried in frustration, especially those who had just arrived. In Burkina Faso, but others. The announcement was met with applause. Across the internet, Africa was trending again, this time with heartwarming scenes. People helped one another fill out forms, shared family stories, and posted photos of grandparents with captions like, "Proof enough." Celebrities joined in, two Afro-Caribbean singers, African-American activists, and Pan-African leaders, all urging patience. But President Ibrahim Traoré wasn't done. He ended his address with words that would echo far beyond the room. This passport is not just a travel document. It is proof that we remember. It is proof that we are one. The world was still processing the magnitude of the United Africa passport when Traoré began preparing the next chapter of what many were now calling the African Revolution. August 31, 2025, Dar es Salaam, less than a month after the passport's launch. Traoré arrived for emergency talks with regional leaders. His mission, to lay the foundation for the United Border Security Pact, a plan to remove internal African borders and unify the continent under a single system. Leaders from Nigeria, Senegal, Mali, Chad, Ghana, Togo, and Guinea gathered behind closed doors. Inside, Traoré delivered a 2-hour speech that stunned even the most seasoned diplomats. This passport means nothing if we still have fences between brothers. We do not need borders between Burkina Faso and Benin, between Ghana and Togo. We are one nation, Africa. He outlined a phased strategy. Free movement for passport holders across 27 African countries. A unified border patrol and continent-wide digital ID system. Shared intelligence networks to defend against sabotage and trafficking. He called the plan simply, "One border, one Africa." Traoré's tone shifted from policy to passion. He reminded the room of all Africa had lost not only land and wealth, but also time, trust, and unity. We were once 3,000 tribes. Today we are 54 countries divided by European rulers long dead. We are still paying for borders drawn with blood, but no more. We will not raise our children to hate their neighbor because of a border. Created in Berlin in 1884, tears fell in the audience. Hardened journalists admitted they had never seen such raw emotion in a presidential address. Meanwhile, the West grew uneasy. A British newspaper called the passport a diplomatic nightmare. French analysts claimed, "Traoré is creating a continent we can't control." A leaked U.S. State Department cable warned, "The African passport must be monitored. It could inspire similar moves in Latin America or Asia." In a closed G7 meeting, one unnamed European leader reportedly asked, "Can we make the African passport conditional? Should we pressure African nations to make it more inclusive to avoid accusations of reverse racism?" The comments ignited outrage online. One viral tweet captured the mood. "They took everything from us. They want to take even the little unity we build for ourselves." At a press conference in Abuja, Traoré fired back, "No, we will not apologize for standing together. No, we will not dilute our vision to make the comfortable feel safer. The African passport is for Africans. We're not excluding the world. We're finally including ourselves," he continued. Africa has 60% of the world's arable land. We have gold, lithium, cobalt, the youth, and the sun. If shared fairly, Africa would be the richest nation on earth, and now we will protect it. September 15th, 2025, Ouagadougou. The world thought the passport story had peaked. They were wrong. Before a backdrop of over 20 African national emblems and a banner reading "From the soil to the stars, Africa united," Traoré announced today, "We officially welcome the African Space Research Bureau as a full partner of the United Africa Passport." At first, the room was silent. Then came the explanation. Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, and Ghana had formed the Pan-African Space Alliance and the United Africa Passport would serve as its official ID. Scientists, engineers, astronauts, and researchers would travel under the same black-hand gold biometric documenta, symbol of sovereignty, innovation, and excellence. We will launch satellites, rockets, and data missions that serve Africans first. No more begging for internet. whether tracking or GPS. Africa will orbit above just as it rises below. Then came the twist, the first official passport holder. To train for space Dr. Wura Kibi, Senegalese-born astrophysicist raised in Burkina Faso, holding her passport, she listened as Traore declared, "This is not just a document, this is our visa to the stars." Wura, with tears in her eyes, said, "My grandmother couldn't go to school. I will go to space, as an African." The hall erupted in cheers. Global headlines followed. CNN called it Africa's moonshot moment. Al Jazeera described it as a new space race, rooted in black liberation. A TikTok video from Brazil titled "Africa is doing what no one expected" gained 22 million views. But resistance persisted. A leaked European intelligence memo warned, if Africa controls both its borders and its satellites, we lose influence. Another diplomat was blunter. The United Africa Passport is no longer just symbolic, it's geopolitical. It's strategic. It's dangerous, Traore replied with quiet strength. We are not dangerous. We are determined. We'll not ask permission to rise. Before closing the conference, he turned to the camera with a message for the diaspora, to our brothers and sisters in Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Brazil, and America. This passport is your return ticket. Not to a place, but to a people. We are one. We have waited long enough. Ended with words that would soon be stamped on every new passport. One Africa. One passport. One destiny. The United Africa Passport was no longer just a travel document. It had become a beacon of global awakening, a new chapter in Black history, and the foundation of what could become the most powerful union the world has ever seen.